Okay. So I'm playing some Fang games again, and I was just going around on Fabray to try and find a list. Um, and I tried out this game, this guy TD Barashi. So TD Barashi, thanks for making your list public. And I got grabbed by his title. I'm the ninja now because I have been playing Fang a little more warrior style, but a lot of people talk about redline lists being better for like a more aggro game plan. So I decided, you know what, like just off of this, I know how to play the deck, and I kind of like the way the deck looks. I love that it's using Sharpened Senses and Perforate, Shaver Bloodshed, trying to play around that, Imperial Flame. So having all those pieces in this list, I figured I would try this out and give it a whirl. And then I also played some games on a more blue pitch list that I'm going to show after that. And the blue pitch list, yeah, we'll get into that after this gameplay. But yeah, just trying to compare and contrast. I personally am excited about these ones that use Flame Scale and Tomes because I think it's more interesting deck building wise, and I like this whole ninja list, and the game was pretty fun. So yeah, let's check out the game over here. So I got an Arakni, and I'm just switching up my card back again. Card backs on Patreon. I need to update them. I need to add one for some of the draconic stuff. Some cool red designs. But yeah, if somebody if somebody subscribes, I'll immediately do that. I'll put that to the front of my to-do lists for sure because I want to make sure that that's if people are subscribing. Right now, I still got nobody. If people are subscribing, I'm definitely gonna put out content for them. But already there's a bunch of them like in there because I didn't want the Talishar devs to have to deal with too many updates from me. But yeah, anyways, so they're throwing a Hunter's Clave. I'm lucky. I was gonna throw everything at that because I could tell. I'm guessing they just want to mark me and then get the dice roll to go into a different Arakni. So Arakni Marionette has the 6 different forms that at the end of the turn, if your opponent is marked, you roll a dice and you switch into one of the 6 forms, and a lot of them have really advantageous powers. So they want you to be marked at end of turn. So I didn't want to be marked, so I just blocked, and then I had the react, which was dope because I was able to block that dagger. And I thought it would mark them, but I guess they didn't play a red. I don't know. It's actually super interesting. Maybe that's a bug. Anyways, whatever. Played the D-React, had some good cards. The one thing that's nice about this matchup, about Arakni, obviously like Arakni is strong in the meta, but Fang's got cards that directly counter Arakni with some of the specific ones, like gain that resource if the enemy is Arakni. I forget what it's like, Pledge Fealty. Or maybe it's Public Bounty. So yeah, so I'm just going to start my plan. I'm trying to generate some fealties. So I'm throwing Fire Vein. I am throwing Long Whisker Loyalty here and putting the mark onto the second attack. One of the things about this I'm a Ninja Now list is it's not worried about the fealty generation as much, and it's like more often than not I've been playing fealty on I've been playing Pledge Fealty. This one doesn't run Pledge Fealty, or at least it doesn't run all 3 copies. And it's just trying to do a lot of marks, but since you have a lot of attacks because of this like ninja game plan, it's pretty easy to get hits off those marks, so mark is almost as good as generating fealty. And so yeah, I'm stacking these triggers. I think I don't have anything to do a mark here. Blistering Blade just does more damage, and so does Imperial Intent. Oh, but I added the mark to the second dagger with the first attack reaction. So yeah, so Long Whisker Loyalty, a solid card to have in this deck, is going to mark on hit for my second dagger attack. And I'm going to hold on to the second attack reaction. Okay, well this is cool. They overblocked. So I'm not even going to send this attack reaction because it's not going to send it over the top and I get to put it in Arsenal. That's like Fang feels kind of weak in the meta. I'm a little cheesed about the warrior setup. I just wish that that crown of Imperial Authority was like, you know, better. Because it would be just like, you could just make a legendary warrior helmet that helps a lot. Like, we're already running crown. It's not like it's like, don't make it that good, but make it like so that I'm not wanting to run crown automatically. And I feel better. But alas, we didn't get that. Assassin's got 2 pieces. And we continue on. But yes, Fang's gameplay, the warrior gameplay is cool. I get to Arsenal that card instead of throwing it because they overblocked. So then this is one of the cards that's specifically good against Arakni. This feels great to have in the deck. Hunt to the Ends of Wraith. What does it cost? 1 less if the opponent is Arakni. Oh no, it marks your opponent and deals 2 extra damage. It marks if they're Arakni, it deals 2 extra damage if they're marked. And so that marks, yeah, that one's like, I think that's in the main deck for this deck, and I'm thinking maybe you would take it out if you weren't up against Arakni, but I am up against Arakni here, so it feels really good in this matchup. Yeah, so that was stupid. That was a learning experience because I did Hunt, then Tome. Don't know why I threw the Hunt first. Because the Tome breaks the combat chain, and I would have been able to hit all 3 Long Whisker loyalty triggers with some of these other setups if I had kept the combat chain alive. But I didn't, and so whatever. Yeah, I did that twice during this game. Like, I know for Brave Forge bracers that breaks the combat chain, and so it's like a tricky thing to actually pull off. More often than not, your Brave Forge bracers are just a block 3 card, but because they're temper, it's like it's always around, it's always available. Just like a little bonus ability. So yeah, what am I doing here? So sending the Fire Vein. Yeah, so it's like this would be a much better turn if I hadn't thrown the Tome in the middle of it. If I had thrown the Tome at the beginning, because I'm stacking a lot of chain links here, and then being able to do all the Long Whisker loyalty stuff. I could attack twice with the dagger, which would be great to use up those resources. Although I guess it's not going to go again on those. Oh no, yeah, but it would. Yeah, so it's like, it's kind of an L. But yeah, the tomes feel good. Like, tomes are funny because you draw into a tome, you use it, and then it feels like tome is like you're online for this turn, even if you're not online. And people are like, yeah, I like to use it to sift for things too. And it's like, yeah, the sifting is good, but it's also just like when you're on a red line deck and you're like comfortable playing 2 cards and pitching 2 cards, then the tome really like pluses you up. I've seen some deck lists lately. I think the latest Flame Dog deck list doesn't run the tomes, which, I mean, he's better at deck building than I am. I'm over here just grabbing randos off the internet, but yeah, the tomes feels good. So here's I don't know. Oh, I used the Brave Forge at the wrong time, and I passed the undo window. So like they were gonna let me undo, but I was like, whatever. I screwed up. Learning experience. This game had a lot of learning moments. Yeah, I pitched to Brave Forge, and because I had used Tome, it felt like I was online, rather than knowing that I had to spend a resource to do that dagger attack. I think I'm up to 2 fealty now, so that's good. I'm like chugging away towards getting my fealties. I drew into another tome, which is obviously tomes before you turn online are so helpful. And then, you know, this is the one part of warrior that's redeeming, is like you have a fridge. Like the armor is so stacked, especially when you're running flame scale. I guess grains too, but flame scale you don't feel like you want to keep it that bad. It's like a I do it. I hit the flame scale button just cause. Flame scale turns 2 reds into a blue, so like it takes the like, you use flame scale, and then you get 1 extra resource for each red in your pitch zone. So you have to have pitched a red, but then if you pitch another red to the flame scale, you can get you've pitched 2, and therefore you get 2 for 1. Like it turns 1 red into 2 if you have a red in your pitch zone. But yeah, he's doing his Codex of Frailty thing, which is gonna I feel like I probably should have been playing like setting up an arsenal and trying to hold it. On that last turn especially, it was like a little suboptimal of a turn. You really have to know how to play against assassins. That's one of the tricky things about assassins that makes them frustrating to play against. It's like you have to be so spot on because they can just disrupt so hard. But if you are, I guess is the upside. Like if I have a card in Arsenal, the Codex of Frailty just doesn't work as good. But I throw the Crown of Providence out, block this attack out, and get basically undo the Codex of Frailties thing. It works as if I had a card in Arsenal. Then I'm playing my Tome of Imperial Flame. And then I'm trying to figure out what to pitch. Like, do I try to work through daggers? Because I'm at 2 fealty. It's certainly interesting. And then having Savor Bloodshed, I'm like, I want to try and use the fact that they're marked. So I want to hold Savor Bloodshed, but that card doesn't give me Go Again. So it's like, it's a bit tricky. I need to try and send something to be powerful enough to hit. So I'm going to send the Saber Bloodshed. It's going to pump this first dagger, and then I can throw a Firm Loyalty or Scar Tissue at it to give it Go Again. This one's kind of interesting. I think probably actually doing this the other way around would be better. Like breaking a loyalty, sending Scar Tissue, and holding on to the Affirm Loyalty means you're getting the Affirm Loyalty back. Like you're using the Scar Tissue, potentially you'll hit the mark, and then they'll get triggered and marked, which, you know, we're close to 3, so it's not that big of a deal. But like you get the guaranteed 1 back from Affirm Loyalty. Mostly I'm just trying to hit though. Trying to hit for the Saber Bloodshed. That's a card that I'm planning to, you know, make sure that my decks build around. That feels like the best card in Fang. So I'm thinking, all right, I'll arsenal this Sharpened Senses that I drew into, keep it around. I learned from the last fealty. So I think I'm supposed to keep the arsenal full, probably for most of this game. I get turned online by that attack, I think. Although actually, maybe I don't. Maybe it doesn't hit. But what this list does feel good is like it's running a lot of 0-for-4s. It's running a lot of attacks, which partly I like just because the way they play, but like also the fact that weapons always cost something to play, or like almost always cost something to play, makes daggers makes this list feel good. Like it's like I'm not banking on being turned on as much because I have a bunch more attack actions. But then if I do get turned on, I get way above rate. You know, I'm not, and I guess that it's like it's playing less towards the warrior game plan and less towards the Fang game plan of like these daggers are my whole thing, and a little more towards like I'm just gonna throw cards at you and use some of the draconic stuff that's good. But yeah, Kiss of Death, this one's interesting because like it's a dagger attack. And I forget like what exactly I'm trying to play around. Oh, I'm trying to play around the fact that they can flick it at me without it breaking. Without wasting one of their hunter's claves. So he throws the first one. I'm like, all right, I'd probably just take this. I mean, this Arakni is kind of a, you know, it's a, I don't mind it as much because it doesn't do as many assassin things as like new. The disruption is less. Like there's been, especially playing this ninja list, there's been a lot of me just taking it and accepting the damage and trying to just outpace, and it feels pretty good. So I think this play is a mistake. So I'm looking at my hand and I'm like, I want to use Savor Bloodshed here. So I'm gonna throw the oh no, actually this play is not a mistake. This is a sick hand, right? Like Savor Bloodshed and the Sharpened Senses means that I can send this dagger without even trying to use a draconic reaction. The fact that I have for the Drakai in here as well means that I have reason to keep sending daggers because I have a chain ender. So I'm going to do dagger. I'm going to throw another dagger after this. I'm going to use Searing Gaze to give it go again, and then I'll be able to throw the Drakai. And they're marked now, but I think I popped the mark. But again, it's like I have three fealty. I don't really care about triggering that mark. One of the things that's actually absent from this list is Blade Flurry, which is kind of interesting because, you know, it's warrior bread and butter. And this list is doing a lot to like, it's not so concerned with turning on that it feels like that would make sense. Like if that comes up after you're turned on, or if you have like an extra fealty, Blade Flurry feels like would be the thing to do. But I guess that thinking about trying to run attack reactions more, although like it's like stuff like Sharpen Senses and Blade Flurry, like if you could Sharpen Senses into Blade Flurry, that's a disgusting combo. Or Savor Bloodshed into Blade Flurry is another one that's good. But I guess you're trying to run, you're trying to, like, the daggers are for marking, or for maybe it's like the list is, maybe the philosophy is like the daggers are trying to capitalize on the marks. Some of your cards, a bunch of your other cards are trying to mark, and then Yeah, like once you get turned on, you can sling the daggers a bunch, but until then, you're pushing through damage with attack reactions and stuff. It's still pretty good rate because you're not like pitching to these efficient weapons. All right, so cut from the same cloth being in here, like, yeah, they've got their attack reaction, but so that's good because it's going to trigger it anyways. But then also, so cut from the same cloth. Um, sorry, let me just tell you what it does. It marks them if they have attack reactions. Cool. So I'm gonna get the mark, which is nice, but again, don't really care about the mark that much. But very happy to be able to look at their hand, because that's the thing. Like that's the upside. If you, that's a sideboard card. That's like fully a sideboard card. It's meant to go in there and go. If I'm worried about reactions, I can check your hand. If you have reactions, I could take note of them and then know how to play around them. Because, like, did he reveal just a Nick? No, just a Nick. So, like, if I see a 1 power attack, I can block it with Dynamos and not. I think Persuasive Prognosis is a 1 power. Although, just a Nick is the type of card that might end up in an arsenal. But yeah, anyways. Those cards that reveal the opponent's hand in a warrior that's trying to be like the most on top of the efficiency and like using your cards optimally is a nice card. It's a real nice card to have. So now I'm thinking, do I send the Fire Vein and use Pledge Fealty and then send the other Fire Vein? Or why did I click that? I don't know why I sent that. Right, I want to swing a dagger, and then I want to use Pledge Fealty to extend the dagger, gives it +1 and go again, and then I swing the other dagger. Yeah, I don't know why I clicked that before, but yeah. Using the fact that Perforate gave me that +1 from before, just eking out that next piece of value. They're throwing a Leave No Witness. I'm tempted to just take this because it's like I don't have an arsenal, so who cares? But what I wasn't recognizing. Oh, but also like I do have Shelter from the Storm. It's not like I mean, I guess I could have put it in my arsenal, but that's fine. I might as well block it. Don't exactly understand. Oh, they send Flick Knives, which sends the Hunter's Clave and marks me so that they can. I guess they're trying to set up the mark. I don't know. I guess they had that plan all along. They just want to finish the turn on a mark. Roll the dice. They get Arakni Tarantula. And so now I'm just trying to throw my damage, but I already screwed something up. I misread Sharpened Senses on this turn. I'm remembering this because this felt like, oh, I really screwed up here. Because it has to have more than twice its base. I wish it was twice or more. Because this thing starts off with 1, so it doubles, right? It gets +1 and has to have more than twice its base to give it go again. I screwed that up. Sharpened Senses does not give it more than twice its base. probably what I should have done here is, I don't know, it's tough because it's like both of these cards don't have go again. I probably should have blocked with something differently. I think I just fully misread this line. I thought I would be able to go Fire Vein into for the Drakai or something. So I waste the Sharpened Senses, and then I'm going to throw for the Drakai. And, you know, I've been feeling really good this game. I've been chugging along and getting solid value and keeping them on their heels, basically. But this turn, you can see they keep their whole hand. I think they maybe were hoping to do that anyways, because I guess they rolled into Black Widow. No, they blocked with Master of Deceit last turn. So, like, they absolutely just lucked into having the nuts on the back of my major screw-up turn. But yeah, so, and then follow up with a major screw-up turn. This is another error here. So if they block with Bonds of Agony and your Fang, you can't throw your whole hand in defense because always the assassin has a way to get over it. Like, not always, but there's so many ways for them to get over it with stuff like Shred, Take Up the Mantle. I think Shred is the one that takes away the blocking power, but potentially Take Up the Mantle also takes away the blocking power. Like, I was blocking up to 9, and they managed to drop it to 4 and go over the top at 7. And because the +3 from the Bonds of Agony, and then they're able to send a card out of my hand. I have no more Draconic cards in hand, no react, so I can't play a Draconic card and trigger and keep my fealty around. So that is like game breaking for me because I'm back down to 0 fealty and I lose my raid. So yeah, if you're Fang and you're playing an assassin and they throw, I've done this already a number of, like, one other time, because it's a tricky one. Because I just want to block it. I feel like that's what a warrior should be able to do. A warrior should have more 3 blocks and not so many damn 2 blocks. And then you have a bunch of 3 blocks. But yeah, I guess it's very interesting, this whole ninja deck, because it's like, if you have so many 2 blocks, maybe you shouldn't be blocking. Maybe you can't play this like a warrior and, like, you get the dynamo value, but otherwise play like a ninja. I don't know. There's a podcast or some guy, I guess it's a podcast, where somebody interviews Bryan Gottleib. I'll link it in the description. And Gottlieb is saying, like, I think there's more to Fang, and people haven't figured it out yet. And this is what inspired me to just go digging around on Fabray and see what I could find. And this deck did leave me pleasantly surprised, you know. It's funny because it's like, yeah, I'm playing an assassin. Obviously, I made my mistakes. I would have been able to win this game if I hadn't made those mistakes. And those were big mistakes. And also, like, I think an assassin is super strong. Probably there's some stuff in my deck that's boosting me up against Arakni. But, you know, that's one of the most frightening things in the meta. If Nu can LL out, then I actually feel pretty good about this deck being able to run these Hunt to the Ends of Wraith and cards like that support gameplay into one of the strongest decks. But yeah, so now I'm back at square one. I have lost all of my fealty, and you can tell the trajectory of this game is fully turning around. Luckily, Hunt to the Ends of Wraith is a 0 for 4 go again if they are Arakni, so. And it marks. It's a beastly card against Arakni. It's just, you gotta be against Arakni. Yeah, and so this turn does feel like, alright, I did drop my fealty, but maybe I'm going to be able to flip this around. Hunt the End of Wraith triggered, gave me a fealty. Hunt the Hunter is going to give me a second fealty, and then I have a pledged fealty in Arsenal. It's actually pretty crazy in one turn to be able to get all my fealty back. I could have also thrown the fealty from Arsenal, but because it's an instant, it does no harm to just leave it there. Potentially, if I could save it till next turn, I could add it to a Fire Vein to give it go again. If it worked out like that, because most of the time you're going to want to actually pitch it, use it before the Fire Vein to make the Fire Vein free. But alas, they get a pretty stacked hand. Obviously, the big thing here is I lost so much tempo. Like, the blades do give you a lot of tempo, which is nice. Because if I was on that last turn, I could get at least one more value. I mean, at least one more value out of swinging a blade for free. Probably a bunch more than that. But I was not online. And so they get to hold on to most of their cards, and they send these powerful Art of Desire at me. And then they'll leave no witness, and I'm like, okay, sure, you have the leave no witness. I'll block some of it. Oh no, I think I just decided to take the whole leave no witness. And then, yeah, and then they send something else, but I realized this because they actually did it on this one. They could have just flicked knives at me. So I should have blocked more. It's actually kind of interesting. I wonder if I would have been able to survive a bit longer. Another mistake. So yeah, so like it's not like Fang's horrible, and I do think that there might be something to the fact that Gottlieb is saying like there's more there. It does feel like he's got a good rate, but these two blocks just aren't very warrior. So maybe it's that this need to play him like a ninja vibe. But yeah, I try to block this out because I'm like, I got caught on the back foot. But then he throws a flick knife, and it does that 1 damage and ends me. So yeah, we'll check out the next game, which is against Victor. Is his name Victor? Yeah, Victor. And on a more paced list. And so both these matchups, I mean, this probably does pretty well into Victor, but you're not being able to get as much through, but you have a lot of different go wide options. So yeah, see you in the next one. All right, so we got our next game. I'm on a blue list, red and blue list with grains, as you can see, and facing Victor, which should be a better matchup. So here, I don't know what he's doing to do Seismic Surge. I guess maybe Tectonic Plating lets you pitch to create a Seismic Surge. Okay, yeah, so Seismic Surge, Tectonic Plating is basically the same thing as Grains of Blood Spill. Seismic Surge discounts Guardian attack actions rather than everything like Vicar tokens do, but it basically works the same way as Grains of Blood Spill. It lets you pitch grains you have to hit. Seismic Surge, Tectonic Plating just as an action that lets you pitch to to create a seismic surge. And so, yeah. So I'm on the blue list. I got a handful of reds, so not where I want to be exactly to start. I've got a firm loyalty, which if I could have held on to 2 of those affirm loyalties and get to 2, like, it's just too bad that this doesn't work out better. Because I need something to get to a second chain link. And then when I get to said second chain link, I'll only have 1 card left. So it was like a difficult lineup to figure out. But basically, you have to pitch the Blade Flurry to swing the Fire Vein. You need to react with each of the firm loyalties so that you can get the loyalty off of, so you can get to 2 chain links, so you can get a loyalty. Your priority on turn 1 until you're turned on is pretty much get loyalty. Especially against a Guardian, it's not like they're playing that much disruption. So yeah. They're sending a Spinal Crush. I don't want to get crushed, so I'm just gonna block. On the blue list, it's pretty easy to proc Dynamos. So my goal here is going to be to block with Dynamos and something else. And I have a blue, so that's nice for being able to swing. Also, I can have like sort of a turn off and prep stuff with the blue. Swing a Fire Vein, send Imperial Intent, swing another Fire Vein, pitch to greens. On one of those, I'll get a Vigor for the next turn. And it's a good way to set myself up to have like a sort of off turn, but also get better in the future. Though he pummels me and I'm forced to discard. So that sucks. So I'm like, I'm just going to send this, I'm just going to put this Imperial Intent in Arsenal and take that turn off. I wonder if there's something I could have done to predict that pummel, or to like, maybe to predict, oh no, because he was down to 1 card, so I was going to guess that card was going to Arsenal. Which is a good little trick, is like if you can convey something with cards in hand, there's a lot that you can do there. It's like a poker thing. They're often setting up, trying to trick people into thinking they have one thing when really they have something else. But yeah, I mean, that one, it's like it could have been a pummel, it could have been an Arsenal. It didn't have the best way to know, and I blocked hard against it. I would have had to... Oh, although I guess he was floating resources. I guess I should have known, because he was probably floating resources, or maybe had 2 cards in hand. Interesting. Yeah. So like check what they're floating to see if there's a pummel coming on Guardians. And then I could have overblocked. And I would have ended up doing the same thing on that same turn, but I would have taken less damage. He sends a really tall attack. I block a little bit. I think it might have had a crush ability, but nothing crazy. And then with Long Whisker Loyalty and Endear Devotion and Imperial Intent, I've got a solid way to try and get to more fealties. I guess I lost a fealty on that last turn, right? Because turn 1, I managed to create one with pledge fealty. It's interesting, like, it'd be cool if there was a way for a Fang list to pitch stack, or like more ways that shuffle the deck. Because you could try to get your mark, or your, I guess marks still work. That's the thing, is like if you run Savor Bloodshed, you can try to just build around marking rather than worrying about doing fealty things. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I like playing against Guardians. Kind of a relief because they don't do so much disruption that you can often just take cards, take attacks, and then keep a stack for your own turn. But it's too bad. Hunt's End's gonna have to go to the arsenal, because it's not like I'm gonna be able to deal enough damage here. I wonder if you could put Relentless Pursuit in that like ninja style deck also. Yeah, I'm like, that the Gottlieb interviews got me a little bit excited. I think that there's more in Fang, and you know, even if it's going to be a real grind to try and get there, and then the payoff's going to be, oh, you're now like a B tier deck. At least it's not stuck at being where it's at now, which is pretty low in the meta. So yeah. But yeah, sending a bunch of cards, Relentless Pursuit. I think I generate the Vigor. So that was like kind of a good sort of take this turn off. He's got an 8 go again, which is crazy. Big stack there. It's a cool card too. Like, what is he? He's like summoning a freaking mountainside giant to slam you with its huge fists. But yeah, there's no on hit for this. I can look at the stuff he revealed, and I see that he's got more. I think they're blue. Crippling Crush. Something. But yeah, I'm trying to think. What am I doing here? I guess I'm gonna try and block a decent amount. And also use the Crown of Providence, because I don't want Hunt's End. I had lined up an attack where I was thinking I can go Fire Vein, I can go pitch the Relentless, send the Fire Vein, Imperial Intent, send the Fire Vein, Blistering Blade for the Drakai. But I think maybe there was a version of that where I want to use the Relentless, and that's why I decided to send Crown. To be honest, it's probably like a bit greedy of a play there to do the Crown. And then he had Pummel and Arsenal, or he just didn't have to reveal it. And so I didn't see that Pummel coming again. And then this, to be honest, is a little bit weird to keep both blues around. When I would have been able to chain a double dagger. Dagger. Yeah, that was stupid. Because I could have done dagger for the Drakai. But I guess maybe I'm hoping to use Relentless Pursuit to generate a fealty off of for the Drakai. Yeah, I don't know. That was like not necessarily the best turn. Two Tooths of the Dragon is kind of interesting. So Spinal Crush is coming in. I want to block it for sure. I do not want to get crushed. It doesn't have Go Again, which is always a nice thing to see. So I'm thinking probably block with both of these blocking cards just to protect. I also know to check his pitch. So it's like he's got a card in hand and no floating, so it's not, he can't pummel me. So now I'm just gonna swing both of these daggers using Tooths of the Dragon. I think I'm probably gonna try and save one of these Tooth of the Dragon because, like, with Imperial Intent here, I don't need an extra card to be able to give this Go Again. So if I send one of these, sure, I'm using it up, and then I put the other one in Arsenal, I didn't need my next sword attack to be like maxed out, and then when I use that card later, so long as he doesn't CNC it out, Tooth of the Dragon being there in Arsenal means that I can use it for +3 Go Again. Like, because it's a Draconic, it's +3 Go Again, rather than Draconic and, actually it's +4 Go Again because it gets the +1 for Fire Vein. Yeah, I guess that's why Blade Runner is like pretty mid, is because Draconics just all have that +1. The one thing that's nice is 3 block. So he's sending another Rouse the Ancients. He's got 2 cards in hand. I'm expecting some more. I mean, he can pummel it. He could just send another attack. He could just use the next card to pitch to his Miller's Grindstone. Victor's a good deck. I like Victor. Personally, I don't like the gold generation thing that much. I don't know why, because, like, it's kind of dumb. Maybe I should like Victor more. Maybe if when the Guardian set comes out, I'll check him out fully. But yeah, so blocking 2 here. I think I'm trying to figure out how can I use Command and Conquer. And so it's like I can do Fire Vein, Fire Vein, Fire Vein, Searing Gaze, Fire Vein, Blood of the Drakai, the thing in Arsenal that pumps the Draconic +3, and then pop a fealty to send Command and Conquer as a 7 damage attack. And I think I've got extra fealties, and it's definitely almost, oh no, actually, what, +3, so it'd be 9 damage. That's a beastly turn. And I have the extra fealty. So I'm pretty sure that's what I do here. Let's see. It's interesting because I kind of leave the fealty on the table by not doing the yeah. I think the move. I think that line that I described is better. But I guess this is fine because like it's just that it's not putting all that extra damage on the CNC and helping the CNC fire the on hit. But I mean, maybe you're asking for so many cards from him when you're attacking that it's worth the while. And then I can float one to grains, which is nice with this setup. Yeah, so I mean that is the thing that's arguably a mistake there is like I probably should have sent the CNC with the boost, with the draconic boost. But I get another CNC here, so that's cool. It does feel like it's a good card in this deck. Like, because you can use fealties. Nah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's not... Like, there's not that many cards that allow you to pump it. But it's just a great card. And a little bit of disruption helps the game plan a lot. It probably doesn't work in the Ninja deck, because Redline just doesn't have enough resources to pay for it. You'd need, like, the Tome to work. It's kind of interesting that it works in the Warrior Wizard guy, whatever, Emperor, who I've been thinking about playing at some of these Blitz games. But he's sending this Miller's Grindstone. I'm pretty sure that's another card that's going to go to Arsenal. So I'm liking figuring out how can I use the CNC here. Oh, I guess there's not a great line for it. So I just decided to block with it. Oh no, I undid it. Alright, yeah, sorry. This was a mistake. I block with the Warmongers, which makes sense because I'm turned on. I can send the Fire Vein. I can go Fire Vein into Fire Vein. The Quicken is kind of interesting. It allows me to send both of these pumps on the second attack, which is cool. He's blocking like I don't have Quicken, so it's like, yeah, blocking in the first dagger attack makes sense when you're playing against Fang almost every time, because otherwise, if they don't, like, they're always going to give it go again with the thing that pumps it. It's one of the things that makes some of the Fang lists that would use maybe a Blade Runner kind of interesting, because you can trick people into, if they're trying to block Fang, they're likely to use they're likely to block on the first dagger swing, and then you throw a Blade Runner and the daggers becomes, and the block, like the dagger is effectively more powerful because of the expectation, and Blade Runner is effectively more powerful because of the expectation. So that's one of the things, and I mean that kind of works against everybody if you can get them down to low life, but in early game, if you're against an aggro deck, it doesn't quite play, which is too bad. So yeah, here he keeps on holding on to an Arsenal, so I'm like, I'm gonna do the CNC thing I was talking about earlier, where I'm gonna use Tooth of the Dragon to pump the CNC. So he's going to block here. I'm just going to throw Tooth of the Dragon. It's going to pump the next attack. I have Warmongers to be able to pay for it. I can throw a CNC. And I actually forget to click Fealty, so I had to undo. So here, I click the Fealty. Now, my next attack is Draconic. The CNC takes the Draconic on. and becomes CNC for 9, which is dope. And he has to block with what? 2 cards from hand and all of his equipment again. And he's doing some weird Victor stuff where we're clashing or something. And then he sends a dominated Mucho Grande. But luckily I have Sink Below, which does just enough blocking. So I'm going to block with Sink Below. I guess I also am going to block with my equipment. So Sink Below wouldn't have been enough, right? But I have space in my equipment. So I block with Sink Below, keep my cards, and then I'm going to come back down to 2 life. He's got 15. This feels like it's kind of lost. But I'll keep throwing daggers. You know, I'm turned on, which does mean I can continue to be oppressive in terms of rate. It's kind of interesting. He's blocking a lot. I guess that, I mean, doing 15 damage in a turn isn't really doable. I guess if I send my... I think potentially this is a mistake on his part and that he wants to be sitting out. But I guess in Guardian, sometimes that's like, you don't have that optionality. Maybe he just didn't have... But like Spinal Crush. He's probably got a good card to be able to take me out there. And shouldn't be blocking my attacks. But he does. I do have, you know, I am turned on, so like 15 damage turn isn't unheard of. I'm going to pause the recording and just check how much damage I was throwing. Yeah, so just checked up on that. I was throwing, I did a total in that turn of 14 damage. Or I had 14 damage on the board. I think I maybe could have gotten it to 15 if I had pumped both my daggers. Yeah, I think actually like it does make sense that he blocked, but I do feel like he blocked out. Blocking out was probably not the best move. And then he's just trying to like, he's giving me too many turns to be able to come back on my own and get Valiant Dynamo value here late in this game. But yeah, I am not sure. I haven't played Victor before, so I don't know if he was making mistakes or if I just like kept the rate good here. And that I'm a turned on Fang. As a turned on Fang has a bunch of power. So I'm sending a dagger. Don't care about the mark too much, so I'm going to send in the Searing Gaze on the first one, save the Long Whisker of Loyalty for the second swing. Too bad that the Endear Devotion isn't for free. It becomes like, this card's like, I mean, I'm going to put it in Arsenal and hopefully it'll push something over the top, but it's yeah, this deck doesn't run Savor Bloodshed. So I'm like turning on all these marks and playing around the marking and not really caring about it, because until I'm turned on, I don't really care about the marks. And that part feels like it's too bad there's not more warrior cards that can play around marking, because it feels like that would make a lot of sense to be able to like have payoff for marks at least. I don't care about the fealty as much, but like being able to use fealty to activate warrior cards that aren't part of the Draconic suite makes sense. But yeah, like I gotta have Savor Bloodshed. I'm pretty sure when I finally get to a list of my own and start mixing up people's, that's going to be in the list, and that's going to be a card I build around, because it keeps all of these other cards that want to mark and help you get turned on valuable. So you can put lots of cards in to try and get turbo marks, and turbo marks turning into a stack of fealties, and then you just charge with them. So here he keeps on blocking stuff. I'm gonna keep on not pumping stuff. Although on this one he blocks 6 and I just throw everything at it because I'm gonna arsenal this sink below. So I might as well try to push through the damage and not get IP'd. So I do that. He blocks with everything again, and then I got another opportunity. I'm gonna send a Fire Vein, probably Blade Flurry it, because if he blocks. Although this is kind of interesting, because I think here I don't just pump everything on this. I mean, he must have a D-React to not block more here. And being at 5 life, it's like he must be screwing up. He must be misplaying this, just not having not played Fang, because like I am so much in control when I can get him low on life because he doesn't know which of these 2 swings to block. So I can send, like if he doesn't block enough on the first one, I could have pumped that with Scar Tissue and Incision. And so he does have the D-React, so I see that. That's good. Makes sense that he didn't block as much on the first with only the 2 block. But still, I send the second one. I'm going to pump it with Incision and Scar Tissue. That's going to go up to 6. He's going to block with another D-React. Nice. So again, he's hanging in there. I forget what's in my arsenal. We'll probably see here soon enough. Hunt's End shows up. That's a good card, especially right now. So I'm going to probably be able to just send something and then Hunt's End, boost it over the top. Here he's blocking, he's over blocking, which is smart. It's the only way you can deal with it. I'm going to use Glint of the Quicksilver to not even buff this that much. And then just buff the crap out of my next dagger. I'm going to throw Blade Flurry on it, because it'll buff the next one. I wonder if it's better to hold Blade Flurry on this attack, because it's not doing anything for this, and then it's a surprise, or potentially you save it for Arsenal. But yeah, he's down to 2 life, and so just the power Hunt's End is able to crack that one over the top. And I get the W. Good sport from the victor, because I did a big undo in the middle of that game, because I screwed up the... It wasn't that big, I just screwed up the fealty thing. I like forgot to pop the fealty before CNC. But he played it out with me anyways, which was cool. But yeah, that's it for today. Hopefully we'll find that Fangless Gottlieb is talking about and be able to throw some monstrous rate and deal with all the disruption in Assassin. See you next time. Peace.